Hello, Amos Tarfa here. Just a quick video about how to attend college and graduate without student loans. How to attend college and graduate without student loans. The journey to attending college and graduating without student loans actually begins much earlier than you would think. It starts in middle school. One of the things I find interesting, now I grew up in Nigeria and my our education system is closer, I would say, with the British model than it is with the American model. But I grew up in Nigeria, and in Nigeria we have elementary school, we call it primary school, where you go from primary 1 to primary 6. And primary 6 though, from especially when I was, graduating from primary school, primary 6 was something that you could easily skip over if you took the test in 5th grade. We take standardized tests as early as 5th grade. I know that sounds really sad, but that is just what it is. We take a standardized test in 5th grade, and that determines literally a huge part of your future. Because if you don't land in the right ballpark of the score you need, and you go into 6th grade, you still don't get a good score, you end up going to a school that might not be the best in that region, and then that can affect some of your I would say education and training before you then go to the university. So the brief part of what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of us, me and my friends and so many other people, who didn't actually do 6th grade. We went from 5th grade, we skipped to 7th grade. And I thank God for the opportunity I had to study for that test and to take the test and do well in it. So I thank God for that opportunity. But when I look at my experience, I skipped 6th grade along with many other people. Those people that I skipped 6th grade with, right? So when I got into 7th grade, I was not one of the best students academically. I wasn't top 10. I wasn't necessarily top 10. There was all these other students ahead of me. Even though a lot of us came into our high school being the number one in our classrooms in elementary school. Well, now we got to 7th grade and it was a battle. And I was getting A's, but I just was not getting the high enough A's to be number one in the class. So I say all of that to say this. Most of the students I came with who also skipped 6th grade, they actually flourished. And some of them, by the way, are in America. Some of them have their PhDs. Some of them have their masters. Some of them were at MIT and Yale. I mean, these guys are doing well academically, And so when we look at their story, it tells us something. That the structure of education, right, how we structure it can affect the efficiency and the outcome. So people that skip 6th grade are flourishing. So that tells me that in America, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say any teacher should, have their job taken away because their grade level won't be taught. No, teachers, thanks for all you do again. What I'm saying though is we need to really look at what we're doing and see how we can better streamline the process and help our students flourish well. So I'm not saying we should take away 6th grade or 7th grade. No, we can keep the grades, but we need to start looking at what are we doing in equipping and helping them flourish. And so what I would recommend to families is from middle school, you need to make a roadmap of where are you headed and what are you doing. The time kids have to study and the time they have to be involved in learning standardized tests and all of that, the material on standardized tests, that needs to start in middle school actually, because if you think about it, students have more free time in middle school. And I get it. We want them to have a life and enjoy. I get that. But one of the things you would realize is that in middle school, what if you can commit just maybe an hour a week or maybe in the summer if you go to a traditional school? That's what I would recommend. Take some time out to just practice for the CLEP or for the ACT. Now, if you're not in a traditional school, if you're homeschooled or if you're in a hybrid school, then let me say this to you. You can literally start studying for the CLEP US history, for example, right? Maybe start in 6th and 7th grade. And start studying for all the different CLEP exams, because if you study for the CLEP exams, take the exam and pass the exam, well then you're on your way you've started gaining college credit right in middle school. So if you need 120 credits to graduate college, you can prepare to take 60 credits, okay? 30 to 60 credits. I know that's a big window, but 30 credits for sure, which will be your freshman year of college done. You can have your freshman year of college done by the time you're a freshman in high school, by the way, because you've taken 30 credits of CLEP test. So see, it takes planning and strategy, but it's very doable. So you do your 30 credits, 30 to 60 credits, right? Number 2, you change your mindset about attending college. Who says you have to graduate in 4 years? Who says you must graduate in 4 years? If you need to take longer, then do what you need to do. Also, Summertime. Why not take courses in the summer? One course there. Have a job. Pay cash as you go. You don't have to graduate in 4 years if you don't have the funds. But notice if you do the CLEP option, you don't need 4 years. You could be down to 3 or sometimes to 2.5. Now, I graduated college in 3.5 years, and I graduated without student loans, and that's very common for international students. We don't have that option. We didn't have that option necessarily. So I thank God that my parents and family was able to support me through the process. But you need to recognize that there's some mindsets that have to change if you want to graduate debt-free. Number one, you have to start thinking about graduating debt-free in middle school. Number two, you need to think about the fact that 4 years is not a requirement. You could graduate in less than 4 years. You could graduate in more than 4 years. It doesn't have to be what everybody is doing. Number three, which is very important, I teach the ACT to students here. I've been doing this for almost 8 to 9 years now, teaching the ACT. And one thing I would tell you is this, that when I give students assignments, 9th and 10th graders, when I tell them what to do to study for the ACT, or 11th and 12th graders, a lot of them don't have the time because now they have jobs, and some of them are in relationships they shouldn't necessarily be in, but that's another day's topic. But I just want to say they have things taking up their time, right? And so when you look at this state of affairs of the 11th and 12th graders, you recognize that we need to help 8th graders and 7th graders to start thinking about the test and maybe planning to take the test. They can still have free time. They can still play. But let's structure some of their learning time so that they are preparing for the ACT, because they actually have more time than the 11th and 12th grader. So believe it or not, if they master the art of taking the ACT, they will do better than the 11th or 12th grader. So if you are studying for CLEP test, studying for the ACT, scoring high on the ACT, getting more scholarships when you go to college, where you've already done 30 to 40 credits of the CLEP test, well, guess what? You're getting scholarships for what's left of college, and you already have some CLEP credits. Do you see how it's all added up? It's all adding up. And when you keep that in perspective, when you're in college, you get a job, and you pay as much as you can as you go through it. You have scholarships, you have a job, you've taken CLEP tests. You are on your way to graduating debt-free. There's one more skill I want to mention here. In college, there are some courses where you can sign up to take the final. Okay, you just take the final of the course, and I did some of that in college. It was a little different for the courses I did. Mine involved writing papers, but I got about 9 credits by just writing papers. I think it was 69 credits, writing papers, doing the work for class, for certain classes, and then getting the credit that way. I know some students that have taken calculus exams or calculus 2 exams, and they passed the exam, so they got the credit for the class. This happens, my friends. There is variety of how to handle these things. See, it takes strategy. So if you want to talk about this, feel free to reach out and we can talk about some of the details. But I want you to know that you can graduate college debt-free. Our American education system really has some work that needs to be done. And so we need to look at how we can be efficient, and we need to help our students to learn ways that they can graduate college debt-free. Well, now, what does this mean for some college professors? It means that they also have to start thinking ahead. How can they bring value to the table? How can we, more value, I should say, because some of them are bringing value to the table. But I mean, how can they bring more value to the table so that students don't just take a CLEP, but students actually want to take their class? See, that's going to, this is changing the paradigm here. And if we don't adjust with the paradigm, with the times, I mean, we have lectures online for free on many courses. These are very interesting times. And so I hope that we all evaluate how we can bring value in our different areas of life. Now, one of the things I will say as I wrap up is that I am concerned about some of the content that is taught at our American education institutions. Students are paying money to take classes where sometimes they're debating whether they themselves exist, right? You talk about some concepts in epistemology, in philosophy of, the knowledge, understanding philosophy of knowledge, and what do you know and how do you know that what you know is knowable. And so they're sitting there debating, do I exist? Do I not exist? Those kinds of things. And those are exciting. I love those things. But some of these conversations and some of the courses that we teach in college, I honestly think they need to become like community courses where people from the community are taking these courses. Maybe not epistemology, but some of the other courses. Public speaking needs to happen. Yes, it does. People need to learn how to be better public speakers. But some of that needs to also happen just informally. People need to learn how to speak in the public informally. people need to learn about American history. Yes, they might take one course in college, but they need to learn more than just that. So what we ultimately need is we need to make lifelong learners. Our education institutions need to become places that inspire people to continue to learn even after the learning has stopped in the classroom setting. So we need learning to continue. Lifelong learners. That's what I think we need to aspire to. And our institutions need to allow for diversity of thought, because sometimes the thinking is boxed in. You're not thinking this way, so we're going to mock you. We're going to laugh at you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We need diversity of thought. And so I could say more on this issue, but I want to encourage you to maybe think through some of these things. Let's see how we can get you into college for free. But as far as what is being taught in college and some of the things that I think are concerning or problematic, and some of them are actually lies and false theories, we need to evaluate how we handle those things. And when people put up their hands and say, excuse me, I don't think that's valid, we need to give them a chance to state their position. Okay, now it feels like I'm getting into some serious philosophy of education issues. I will spend more time on that topic in a different video. Let me know if you have any questions, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening, and please know that you can graduate from college debt-free.